evening, everyone. Welcome to our annual Thursday Night Live. My name is Deja Center, and I am the National Vice President of the Melanated Minds Network. If you are just joining us for our first time, we do these lives every Thursday night, and we cover a wide range of topics. Tonight, our topic is surviving grief and trauma. This topics are kind of touchy and kind of be heavy, but I think that is definitely important to talk about because I know a lot of us have been getting hit with a lot of traumatic situations, and we are grieving not just people, but we are grieving opportunities. We are grieving just like things that we feel like we should be able to do, and just all around grieving. So we need to talk about it, right? So let's just jump on in. First, I think we need to kind of start with some general definitions. Trauma is described as a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. This could be something as like a health condition, or this could be something, like losing your job, getting an eviction notice, something that's going to raise your blood pressure, that's going to cause you to be stressed out, or, really going to have you worried, or really, really like feeling like you going through something for real. And grief is, or a deep sorrow, or something like especially caused by death, usually. But this could also, like I said, this could be caused by like grieving a situation. You could be grieving the loss of a job. You could be grieving the missed opportunity. You could maybe, for example, you could be hoping to get a job that you really wanted. You didn't get it. You could be grieving the loss of a job. You could be grieving the loss of a pet if you really love pets. You could be grieving just anything, really. Now, the first thing to me in surviving grief and trauma is really understanding what is doing to your body. You have to understand that like trauma will physically change your brain. So while you're going through your traumatic situations, your brain is literally changing. It changes the way that you perceive situations. It changes the way that you react. It changes your sensitivity to real and perceived threats. And it just kind of like changes your ability to make decisions. So while you're going through your traumatic situations, you have to stop and ask yourself, am I really in the best state of mind to be making these decisions? Do I need to stop and take a minute to breathe and settle down and let this stuff pass first? Or am I okay to make this decision right now? You know, like for me, from July up until now, I have lost a couple jobs. I have been going through a health issue. I've been going through a lot of stuff. So like for me, I have to stop and say, I cannot handle dealing with making a whole lot of big decisions. I have to stop and say, I have to take things one thing at a time. I have to make sure I get this handle first. Then I can move to something else. Because if I try to take on too much, then nothing gets done, right? But that's a part of trauma because it's impairing my ability to make decisions. It's too much going on at the same time. And that's also a part of grief. It literally changes your brain. It makes your brain foggy. It changes your ability to concentrate. It makes your ability to remember finish things and remember to do tasks difficult. It increases your cortisol, and it just like makes your sleep and appetite different. It can also cause you to go into shock and have numbness or like a feeling of numbness in your body, like you don't feel emotions. So all of these things are activated when you're going through grief or trauma. And imagine going through both simultaneously. Because I know a lot of us right now are going through health issues. They trying to figure out how they gonna pay their bills. So they dealing with distressing situations, and then on top of that, they're dealing losing people in their family. So they are dealing with trauma and grief simultaneously, right? So they have symptoms of both, and they're showing up in different ways, but people don't realize it, right? So people show up in the world and they may be super irritable, and maybe they can't concentrate on super small tasks. You know what I mean? Like they can't focus a whole lot on one thing. You have to like constantly tell them 50 million times to do stuff, right? And you get frustrated with them and you're like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you do stuff? What is wrong? And they just like, nothing, I don't know, I just can't focus. It's because you're going through grief, right? It's because you're grieving and you're not talking about it. You don't recognize the signs, but that's what's going on. But once you recognize, hey, I'm grieving, or hey, I'm going through a traumatic situation right now, and this is a part of that, you can tackle that issue, right? But the whole reason we don't recognize these signs is because we walk around saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. We don't talk about what's going on with us, right? Especially Black folk. We don't want nobody in our business. And I know I'm guilty of that. I'm real good with I'm okay. I'm okay. Right? I'm the strong friend. I'm fine. Mm-mm. And then I end up in counseling again. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? That's actually a good thing. Because if you don't want to talk to your friends or your family, that's where you should be going. That's actually the only way to really deal with all of the effects that grief and trauma have on the body is going to counseling and talking about it. Um, One of my favorite shows when I was younger was Intervention. And I know it's a cliche, but you can't address a problem if you don't admit that you have one. And that's the first step, is saying, hey, I really need help. I'm really struggling right now. And I know that that's really difficult sometimes, especially for me. It's difficult for me. Like, I will, even if I know I have the support, admitting that I need help is, and I don't always, it's just it's difficult, right? Real difficult. But you have to get help, because if you don't, then the effects, like the inability to make decisions, or the irritability, or the brain fog, all of these other issues are only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. And then it's going to get to a point where it's going to start to seriously impair your cognition and seriously impair your memory. And you're going to have serious memory issues. And then it's going to be very, very serious issue. So, one thing I learned from all of my experience trying to, I guess, circumvent dealing with grief, especially not wanting to feel grief from breakups, you always end up feeling it anyway. You always end up feeling it anyway. You might as well just feel it. When I was 19, I ended up in counseling when I was at Eastern, because I tried to say I couldn't feel it. I had to focus on getting ready for school. I had to stay focused on getting ready to go, pack up my stuff, get my books and ready. Middle of the semester in counseling, dealing with it because I didn't deal with it then. It always comes back. It always comes back. And that's the great thing about the Melanated Minds Network as well, because we have created a network that is such a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's such a cohesive little, the word I'm looking for. I'm sorry, the word that I'm looking for is lost in my head right now. But it's such a little good, it's such a little network, obviously. But no, it's such a good little way of finding people that are trying to navigate their own strengths and, weaknesses and their ways of dealing with their journeys, right? They are also looking for ways to strengthen their physical, they're looking for physical fitness journeys, or they're looking for ways of strengthening their spiritual journeys and their mental health. And that's why we created this, because if no one else will cater to us, we have to. And we allow this space for us to be able to speak on things for us. And this network does that, right? Like, nobody else is going to say this stuff for us. Like, I'm telling y'all, like, counseling saved my life. Like, if it did, like, being able to go and talk to somebody and really get all of what I was thinking and trying to process, not just about my relationships, but about school and my family and everything out, saved me. And not just that one semester, I went multiple semesters, and then I've gone since I've been out of school as well. And it's helped tremendously, right? And it helps even if there's not necessarily anything wrong. So this network allows for all of us to bond and like explore different ways of strengthening these connections, right? Because you can be strong in one area and be weak in another. And you need all of them to be a completely whole and healthy and happy person. And sometimes it only takes one thing to completely, what it will, I guess it will really feel like, mess up your balance, like dealing with a traumatic or deeply distressing situation. It can throw you off, and you'll be sitting there feeling like, why me? But if you really deal with it and you really stop and you understand, like, okay, this is what it's doing to me, this is what it's doing to my body, this is how I can show up in the world, because you understand I can show up a little irritable because I'm going through some trauma. I can show up a little, you know, brain foggy and scatterbrained because I'm dealing with some grief. Then you can also ask for help, right? You can say, hey, I'm not in the best place right now to be making these decisions. Can we talk about this when I'm not dealing with this, right? It's okay to admit that you're not in the best place. And that's something that I'm still personally learning myself, right? It's okay to admit that you need some help. And that is actually like the most important thing that I want y'all to take away from all of this. That's probably the most important thing that I've learned through all of my experiences in counseling and through everything that I've been through. Learning when to ask for help, right? And I think that's why I'm so glad we have the Facebook group, because if you need to ask for help, you can ask for help, right? If you don't know who to ask for help, somebody in that group can find you can ask for help somehow, some way, right? Somebody you'll know, somebody that can get you some help. But you just gotta extend your hand, just say, I need some help. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but you just gotta say help. And mm, well, honestly, I hope that y'all learned a little bit about surviving grief and trauma, and I really, really hope that this was enlightening to y'all. And that please, please, please don't be afraid to ask for help. Like I said, it's still something that I'm learning myself, but ask for help and don't be afraid to go to counseling, and really just, like I said, not being afraid to admit that you are not in the best place to be making decisions and that you need to take some time to like process what's going on with you and really deal with other stuff first. Like, if you're going through some stuff and you cannot deal with this, like, let's say for example, you have a friend that wants you to help them with something, and you got a lot going on. It's okay to tell that friend, like, listen, normally I would help you, but I got a lot going on. I can't do it. It's okay to tell that friend no. It's okay to prioritize yourself and take a step back from stuff that you would normally throw yourself in, and let other people figure it out. And it may feel weird and people may look at you a little funny, but those people, when you start coming back and you finally have dealt with everything that you had to deal with, when you finally come, full circle back around, and they actually start to ask you what was going on, and you tell them, they're gonna be like, wow, I had no idea you were dealing with so much. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Did you ask? Did you check? I'm dealing with it by myself. But that's okay. Sometimes it's okay. I mean, you don't want to isolate yourself. You want to lean on your support system, right? You want to lean on your support system. You definitely want to lean, if you're spiritual, you want to lean into your spirituality. You definitely, definitely want to believe that all things work together for your good. You And it's not always easy to believe that. Sometimes you do feel like, "Why me? What did I do?" And you're not gonna always understand why you going through everything that you're going through. Most of the time, you're not gonna understand, but you're not supposed to understand. You're not supposed to. You're just supposed to trust that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. And you're just supposed to trust that your support system is going to support you. And like I said, I hope y'all learned something today, and I really hope that y'all found this really enlightening. I'll see y'all next time.